We're live again. We're back. We're back.
Yeah? Oh, no. Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Hey, you never know when. Who cares? Hi. What's up, everybody? I know it's Saturday, first day back at the beach if you're in Hawaii, and I'm glad you're having a good time. I know you're practicing social distancing and everything's safe, I'm sure. Right, but we're in here and we're pretending to be in some other house. What is it? What is this? What are we looking at here? But we're trying out some new stuff. This is Ecamm Live, and we talked to Carolyn Omine. She is from Hawaii. Right, went to school Ever Beach, yeah, as one small keiki, and then went to University of Hawaii, went to UCLA, then went to Hollywood. Now she's been writing for The Simpsons for 22 years, and her episodes, it's airing tomorrow. Am I right? Is that what's happening?
Yep.
Okay, like you say we're live, but I don't see it here. Okay.
So, okay.
Oh, there
well,
it is.
we are
Hi.
live, but I want to know,
No, I trust you, I
can
trust
you hear us?
Yeah, because I can hear me, but that doesn't mean, yeah, because this is all new.
I was messing with the audio and pressing all kinds of buttons, and I'm not even sure if anybody can hear us. So if you can hear us, give us a little high five or something.
Okay, so what you're about to see, because we're just going to push a button here, and then we're going to play the conversation, the Zoom that we had with Carolyn Omine yesterday. And we even wore the same clothes because I was thinking we're going to pretend like it was just like right now. But and we decided, no, that's just stupid because we keep on saying Sunday. We never once say tomorrow. And it's tomorrow.
Well, can I just put out there that this is not the same clothes? It's another top.
Oh, for me, it's the same clothes. And it smells, I can tell. I can tell it's the same clothes. Okay, I'm just going to I'm going to tag Carolyn Omine. She doesn't even know we're doing this right now. We're so, like, unofficial. But we're going to get into, like, she put a little, like, in the episode for The Simpsons tomorrow, she put a little Hawaii, like a little wink, wink, Hawaii, hey, what's up? And that's going to be covered, okay, when we push this button. And we show you yesterday's conversation. What else?
One more time?
Yeah, one more time. Just break it down. We get nuts, and it's an hour long. And for those of you, like, you know, I got into a couple of debates with Sam the Man and some people about, like, nobody wants your hour-long content. Well, you know what? I don't care because here it is.
If you know us at all, we are talkers.
We're such a Portuguese. We're like so Portuguese. So I'm just gonna give you the Portuguese side because that's who I am. I was born to be Portuguese. I don't care what my 23andMe says, right? No, what is it like? I'm Japanese, Chinese, Hawaiian, but I identify as Portuguese. Anyway, push the button. That's too Portuguese. This is Carolyn Omine from Hawaii, and her episode on The Simpsons tomorrow. Check it out. It's our conversation. So, by the way, congratulations. I know you have your episode you wrote for The Simpsons is going to air this Sunday. What is it called? The title?
The title of the episode is called The Way of the Dog.
Okay, I see. I just looked it up. This, for whatever reason, Wikipedia says it's 2019. But anyway, I was like, okay, that's what I thought. The Way of the Dog, right? And so what?
It was written a while ago, but yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes they find out stuff.
Oh, okay.
Those fans out there, they get like production schedules and they find out really early stuff.
Okay,
wow.
So what was the inspiration for this one? And is there anything that is related to the coronavirus or not? This is just kind of like escape from that.
It is nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Hey.
I know. I just wrote another episode for next season that probably it has a lot. It takes place in the old folks' home, so I don't know. That might be a little rough. But this one was actually Jim Brooks. He has these, like, he's such a he's a sort of a special kind of genius where he'll sort of have an idea and he has like sort of fence posts of the story. He'll be like, right. I want to do an episode mostly from the dog's point of view. It's not as much from the dog. I was thinking, like, if I had my brothers, it would be all from the dog's point of view. Like, it would be like Benji or something, you know?
I would love that.
Oh, like there's hardly any talking, but
right.
Or I wanted, like, but we didn't do it. But you know those Disney movies where they'd always have that one guy, like Charlie the Lonesome Cougar, and there was always that guy going, right about now, Charlie figured but people weren't going to let, you know, I thought it would just be all that, but it didn't. It didn't do that. But so what he wanted was something was bothering the dog, and he wanted an expert, and they wanted the expert to have a boyfriend. And there's all these really specific things. And then, so and he also wanted me to read this woman's book. Oh my gosh, I forgot what his name. And he's also the creator of Taxi, and Cheers, and Mary Tyler Moore. He's legendary. And he also did movies like As Good as It Gets and Broadcast News. And he's just brilliant. I'm trying to, I'm bad with names and I don't want to, I should have done this. But anyway, so I looked through the book. I will put it someplace. I will find this woman's name. And she had this YouTube video about how dogs see through their nose. And it was such an interesting idea that, like since our dominant sense is a photograph, visual, when we see a photograph where we get these memories that are sort of sparked visually. But when a dog smells something that has a smell memory, it's like they're back in that same place. There was all kinds of weird, trippy things about dogs. So I know it's not weird.
Yeah, no, it's so great. No, because I know these random facts. Like for the human brain, we have 30% of the brain dedicated to like vision and light processing and eye related stuff. And for the dog, the nose is its dominant senses. But I could never figure out the paradox. And why are you shoving your nose straight in the butt the first time?
Right.
If you have such strong smells, like that would be the last thing I'd be doing. I'd be like 6 feet away the whole time, social distancing, right?
Right. Well, she described it as like. Well, I mean, I've seen through like dog, search and rescue things. They can see hundreds of millions of times. Like they can smell something so much. Like if somebody dropped a bottle of perfume in a room, you could maybe tell. Oh, I can tell somebody dropped perfume. But for a dog, she says you could drop a bottle of perfume in a stadium, and he would be able to tell. And they would, if they knew the different things that made up that smell. They would identify that's jasmine, that's, like they could tell. I know, it's crazy. So it was just this idea of that dogs can, and this is all just sort of the backstory, but that dogs can, if a dog smells, when they're smelling and they're going around the neighborhood, they know every dog that's been there. They know what that dog is eating. They know if the dogs are sick. They know how long ago it was. It's really crazy.
No, okay, so this is a random tangential thing, but just this morning, we do this bit on our Sam and Ryan show at 93.90, but we do this bit called The Dirty Little Secret. So someone called up this morning and confessed that they like to be peed on as a sexual thing, right? So again, this was just this time where I happened to know this random thing, like porcupines. The male actually tastes the female's porcupine's shishi. I can say shishi to you since you know what that is, local girl.
I do know what shishi is.
Yeah, so they taste the shishi to tell if it's a good mate. And in the same way, it's because they're getting all this information, just like the dogs. It's just wild. Like humans, we're definitely weird and we're outcasted for it, but it's
and we refuse to taste the shishi. Who knows what we could learn? If we would just get over that hang up. But it was interesting because in this book that I read about, it talked about how, when it's sort of the cliche thing when there's somebody chasing the crook with bloodhounds and they're like, oh, they get to a clearing and they run all around to kind of like, I'll confuse the dog. It won't know where, be all this scent all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But when you see, if you really bring a bloodhound, he will come and he will follow that exact pathway because the smell that they're smelling, they are smelling like your footsteps, and they can also tell where it gets stronger, so they know the sequence that the step was taken. So in a weird way, they know the whole story. So that's sort of what inspires this, is that I just decided, okay, we need to find something that will trigger. So basically that's what it is. Santa's little helper is upset, and it's because something has come into his life, and it is this smell has brought back. I don't want to give away too much, but I'm so compelled now. I'm like, what does he smell? It's connected to what memory? I love it. I already love it,
So so how long ago did you write this? You said you wrote it a while back?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was the first one we wrote this season.
Okay.
It was before, because Yeah, but for various reasons, and it's a little strange because it's a Christmas episode.
Right.
And if you I wasn't assigned a Christmas episode, but I was assigned, like I said, all these, like, it has to have this and has this and this. And then the smell thing led me to, so I sort of had to make it a Christmas episode because of this story solution I found. And at first we were going to like change the schedule and move it. And then things conspired against it. But you know what? I watched it. So I'm just being honest that I was a little like voting for let's hold off and wait till Christmas.
Right.
But I watched like the final edit, and it kind of got me a little emotional, and I feel like it is probably what's going on, like,
oh my goodness, I can't wait. You're making
this world that's happening right now. So in a way, I was like, I'm kind of glad that we kind of need like a Christmassy kind of episode.
I know radio stations started playing Christmas like just when the lockdown started to happen.
Really?
Wow. Yeah,
that's so interesting.
I even know some channels that started to play some early Christmas movies and stuff, and it's like, it's really like, the world's turned upside down. It's like when Jumanji shit starts to happen, right? It's like, what the fuck, Christmas starts to happen during June. Like, it's just the whole world is shaky upside down. But you're right. I mean, it's like if we have to move Christmas to frickin' summer, let's move Christmas to summer. We gotta do it. So that's so awesome. So how is like just a little peek into the process for someone who writes for The Simpsons? Is it like, so Jim Brooks come in and he just like, there's a room of writers and he's like, this is what I want. Whoever gets it best gets it. Or does it go, Carolyn, I wrote this for you? How does that work?
It's different. And the reason, that's why I remembered, because sometimes they all kind of get jumbled up because we work on so many. But I do remember that it was written before because that we have this pitch out where everybody comes and pitches their stories, but I didn't have to do that because I was already working on a story that was, Jim had begun it. And so sometimes it happens that way, but I say most of the time people have an idea. I'm very, I have 2 dogs and 3 cats, and I talk about my dogs and stuff. So I really wanted to do a dog episode too, and so it was But most of the time, most of the stories. Sometimes things come from different things. Like sometimes we get a certain actor, and then we're like told to write a story for that person because then we sort of imagine what would be their strength. There's just many different ways that.
How many writers are there?
There's about, again, I should know this too. I would say when I used to do the Christmas card thing, there was about 18 of us. We're not all there all the time. Like myself and Tim Long and Rob Lazebnik. We're there 3 days a week just because we've been there. For me, it was because I'd been there a while, and then I just sort of wanted to go part-time.
Right.
And then there's like Tom Gamble and Max Prost. They're there 1 day a week, and also Mike Reese.
So which one of you guys are psychic? Because how are these? Are you guys writing this stuff, or are people making memes after they come out and you think,
Carolyn, it's ridiculous. Like, and I don't know how much is fake. I don't know what I'm learning from like social media that you're making up stuff, but the Simpsons always seem to predict like these huge world events.
Well, there's some things like, we did do an episode a long time ago where Lisa was president, and she talks about she has inherited the country was kind of messed up after President Trump. So that was like kind of a prediction, but also we were just kind of like, we wanted her to have a really hard time as her being sworn in as president. We just thought, what would be the stupidest thing we could do? And but
you must trip out at that, right? I mean,
but there was later when he announced and he came down the stairs. We actually did a parody of that, and that was done actually after. Okay. And that's where I think like those two things get combined. I know that's the one that like where people are like, but that's the one. But that is the one. There is some animation that can be done really fast, and that's really fast animation. Like it came out in like I was surprised, like a week. It's because it was so short too.
Right.
But yeah, that doesn't exist in a show or anything. Him going down. We just made a little.
Well, you know
some kind
what?
of like
It's
internet.
like, yeah, some of it might be luck, but a lot of it is like, I was watching a little bit, just getting prepared to talk to you. It was just some stuff on the internet about like how the Simpsons, when it first came out, right? I mean, the reason why like it took over the whole world was like you had all these sort of like, clean, squeaky clean, like family sitcoms, right? And you had the different strokes. You had the whatever it is at the end of the 80s, right? And you had the facts of life and the silver spoons and family ties. And then here comes Homer, right? And Marge, and Bart, and Lisa, and then everything's like totally subversive. It's a sort of like a darker point of view,
like
a more
animated Married with Children,
a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit more on edge, and it's like you get to like make commentary, make fun of society, and you start to like, take a more truthful, like, you're taking punches at real stuff out there from whatever it is, racist angles, religious angles, and you're bold. You're taking these like very bold swipes. So when you look back and go, oh, like the Simpsons got it right, partly it's because you guys were like the first to kind of have the balls to kind of get out there and just say some shit that's like hard to say sometimes.
I think that's true. I wasn't here at the very beginning, and I do think that is, just hearing from people at the beginning. I think a lot of the things that helped was Fox was a fledgling network. And so they let Married with Children and The Simpsons, like they were new to, and they were more than other networks saying, because like people were like, why would I want to be on your weblet? Like it wasn't a full network. And they said, well, we won't give you as much notes. And in fact, The Simpsons for a long time, I think pretty much still now, we don't get notes from the network and studio, which is kind of unheard of.
That's true, yeah.
And that was true also for Married with Children. And so it was, and I know that Sam Simon early on had said, he thought that it was going to be 13 episodes and out. So they were like, let's just, have a good time and let's do something that we would like. And so I do think that's what gave it a very, I think even if you go for something really unique and weird and very much your experience, it might not be everybody else's. I think people relate to a real thing. And I think that's what they did. And it is a group of very smart people that read a lot of papers and watch the news. And they, there's been some sports ones where they were like the soccer one. I, take no credit for this, but like apparently it was by just sort of being smart about it, they could figure out who was going to win. But so there's things like that. There's the things that there is some luck, weird things like there was one, Ian Maxwell and Graham did an episode where they go to New York. Homer versus New York City, and he goes to the Twin Towers, and I think he holds up a pamphlet. This is something like New York on $9 a day, something like that. So there's a 9, and then Bart holds it up, and then the Twin Towers were in the back, so they formed the 11. And there's one image of that, and that is just pure luck. There's a joke in it where Homer, he has to go to the bathroom, and they're like, it's in the tower. So he goes up one tower, and then he realizes he's in the wrong tower. So then he has to like come back down and go up the other tower. That
one was random though. Yeah. Wow.
That was just random. But it is that one image of the 9/11. It is, those are those. And then Al was saying, because there was one where,
so one, you have the Trump one, and that's like pretty okay. You got kind of that was kind of crazy. Let's think of the stupidest crap ever, but then that came true. So that's kind of crazy though. And then the other one was you did it after, so that's a sort of like a misconception. And then the other one was just pure luck, but that's like to the public. It looks like 3 in a row, right? Like moments where Simpsons got it right.
Big
so
events.
It can start to build. The hype can start to form, right?
I don't know. I mean, I was just looking around the internet once and found this thing on YouTube, and it was just all about all the 9/11 stuff in Back to the Future. And that is crazy because it's like, they are terrorists. There were 2 pines. They're like,
And Back to the Future, by the way, Robert Zemeckis said that he made Biff after Trump. He fashioned that
right.
and now you look at his hair, you look at everything, right? The cold, lifeless.
I didn't even know that.
Oh my!
But now
it's weird. So I was watching this thing, going, "Oh, these silly people who think that like there's some sort of thing," and then I was just watching all these coincidences, and also between Man on a Wire, which is also a Robert Zemeckis movie, and Between the Twin Towers.
Oh my God, that's right. So is Robert Zemeckis part of the Illuminati or some crap?
I don't know. There's one really freaky one that I didn't realize. In one of the Back to the Futures, Marty McFly is running and saying, "I just came back from, I don't know, 2013, whenever that movie came out."
Right.
And he's wearing a burgundy turtleneck and this black leather jacket. And that's what the guy's wearing in the poster. Of course, Robert Zemeckis can do it, or did he just think it? But it's so weird that, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's right. No, I saw that one too.
It sounded like but anyway.
Conspiracy theory.
I don't know. I wonder if you look at anything, right, if you would start to suddenly go, like, if you go, okay, I'm going to look at the Chilton's car manual for 1987 Mazda GLC or something like that, and you're like, holy shit, there's references to 9/11. Like, you.
No, totally.
I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. No, yeah, we're zooming. This is part of it.
We're zooming. Okay. It's going to get worse now. No.
Please.
It can't ever get worse than this.
Yeah, I love it. I don't feel so bad. No, but that is true. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like when the hype builds. I mean, that's the whole like plot of Jesus Christ Superstar, right? It's like a couple of rumors, this and that. No.
Yes, they're going to crucify us soon.
Yeah.
I mean, it could also just be like, if you have a show that is been around, we're writing season 32, and we're constantly looking like, whoa, what else is funny about this world, and what can we do? Like, there's been some things too that we've also just been like, oh, that's so great. Like, there was Mark Wilmore did he sort of read an article. It was a small thing about how old folks were sometimes crossing over the border to go to Canada to get like their regular drugs, like, because it was cheaper, like pharmaceutical drugs. So then we thought, it'd be funny to do like a drug mule kind of thing about grandpa coming over Canada. And then, but it was a really small thing. And then, but by the time it aired, there had been a couple more stories about things happening, and it became a bigger story. And that made us seem like we had sort of because we have some leeway. I mean, we write 9 months ahead of what goes up finally.
So when do you find out? You wrote this one that's going to air on Sunday. You wrote that, you said in the beginning of the season, which was when? Like, how long ago was that?
I remember. Okay, so it was my niece turned 21, and she's 22 now. Oh, wow. She turned 21 November 8th, and so it was so it was like not this last November 8th, but the one before. And I remember because that was there was a pitch out meeting, and I didn't go, and because I was in Vegas with my niece for her. Because we'd been planning this big 21-year-old birthday party. Right. But anyway, that's when everybody else got their stories, and I was already writing. So that was, so November.
Okay, so now when do you get the call? Like, okay, remember that thing you wrote a couple of Novembers ago? That's going on this Sunday. When did you get that?
Well, because, we go through it. Like, well, they'll take it in a room, and we'll go over it and over it and over it. And kind of like, okay, and we put it aside, and then we sort of say, okay, we're going to read it here this day, and then it would be like, oh wait, we can get this great guest star, but they got to go this day, so we're going to move this back, and it's just sort of, you kind of sit on the shelf for a while knowing that it's coming up, and then once it's read, then it's assigned to a director, and then go and meet. Like, this was a really hard one, and we had a really great director. His name was Matthew Fawnin. This was a harder one because it's so weird. Like, we had to kind of come up with the rules of, like, because a lot of stuff is from POV of the dog, and and so there were like two kind of, one, we have to come up with sort of the rules and how we show when it's the dog, and what does it understand and what does it see, and then but then there's also to illustrate what it is when it's smelling like a lamppost and seeing all these things, but not, like he's seeing it with his nose. So they're kind of like so we had to kind of come up like, how do we represent that,
So we got a dog last year and it just turned 1 and it's been 1 year for us. And we're like, I just hope that this kills on Sunday and we just get a recurring, like it's just more dog POV. More Carolyn Omine dog POV
so we can learn
content.
What our dog is doing.
It's so great. No, yeah, we're totally in. We're totally biased, and I can't wait. I love it so much. I mean, okay, well, talk to me. There's so much I want to talk to you about. I'm glad we can do this deeper dive. But talk to me about the 4 Emmys, Hawaii girl. 4 Emmys.
Oh.
How do you just oh my God, that's so amazing. Like which 4? Talk to me about what was that like to go from 0 Emmys to 1 and 2, 3, 4? What is what the heck?
Our Emmys, we always we get our Emmys awarded at this thing called the Creative Arts Emmys. So it's not the same awards, it's not with like the big right. I mean there's some celebrities, but not like it's it will be things like best non-prosthetic makeup and best prosthetic makeup and which are all really great, but
right.
It's very long and people get up and they still tell the really long speeches. Even if it was Brad Pitt, like after a couple hours, you're like, let's not pick everybody, but then when it's like some dude you don't know, you're just like, oh my God, that sounds so ungrateful. But then when you actually win, it's so good.
Yeah, you're right. No, it's great. This whole thing is great. I take everything back.
Yeah, no, this is all real. We're all celebrities. No,
that's awesome, man. That's so awesome.
It's really funny, but our show, I feel like we used to win a lot more. Now I feel like we're kind of, we're sort of been around for a long time, but who knows? Maybe one day we'll win again.
She already said next season. Like,
oh, we did just win last season. What I say?
Right.
Yeah, we did. That was so exciting for us. It had been a long dry spell.
Do you each get an Emmy, or is it like one? How does
per writer? Is a writing team? How does that work?
It's two. It's just a certain amount of the list going down to like in most other types of shows it would be everybody above a certain level, but for animation there's all these weird rules. We're still sort of the stepchild of the entertainment industry. So we don't have like separate writing, separate acting. It's all just like good cartoon. And, we compete with like Saturday morning ones too. And sometimes they have won, and I feel bad for them too, because I feel like we have such a bigger budget and, like they're like against us, but they have won, but yeah. And with us, it's like only this many people. So I went to 3 days a week because I have a son. And so I didn't get the last Emmy. The last Emmy, I wasn't on the list anymore.
Like awards aside, like because this is such an iconic show, like do you feel that like what you're a part of is something that's forever in history all around the world, like such a huge part of a lot of people's lives?
I mean, it's definitely
like, does
iconic,
that hit you like?
It did. I mean, I've been there like now almost 22 years.
Wow.
But I do remember like, and I sort of sometimes have to remind myself because sometimes I get annoyed with like parking or whatever, like, just some dumb thing. But
right.
But I remember very early on, I thought, okay, I'm on the show. This is one of my favorite shows, and at least I'll get to be here right when it's about to end. And then it kept going for like 20 more years. But I remember telling myself like, this is probably the good old days. What's happening right now? Yeah. So, try and be aware of that. And so I try to be aware, but, every once in a while I forget. But most of the time, because there's always something, we have a lot of really interesting things. I got to record Cate Blanchett for this episode, and that was so amazing. And we did it over Skype, which was not our new rhythm. That wasn't very stable, but still, she's so good. And
was she wearing that hat from her Marvel character, and maybe all the antennas from her hat?
That would have been good. Yeah, she's so like effortlessly cool. Like, she just looks so beautiful, and she just like she's walked in. And
so that's an interesting part. So like when you write the script, and then, you know, you said there's all these processes, there's the reading, then they come in and they do the, like, how much are you part of that process? They pull the writer in for like how much of the other parts of the process before?
Well, this one, yes. I mean, because I've been there a long time.
Yeah.
I know enough about all the different processes. Then I kind of see it wasn't always true, but now more so with the last couple episodes, I get to sort of shepherd it through things. You know, like we have this whole, before we even go to the first animation thing, I go through and I find every little, like, what I mean by each, you know, description. I like what kind of jacket the dog will wear, and you know, things like that. And and we talk with and the animators are amazing. It's really crazy how good they are, and different directors are better at different things. That Matthew Fonan is really great, and it's really fun. And then we go work with the musicians to put the music in.
That's so cool.
And yeah, it's all very good. And you know, I wouldn't say this, but only because Cate Blanchett was amazing. But originally, the part was written for a woman named Elaine May, and I don't know if she's not many people know who she is. Well, I mean, no, that's not true. I'm just saying.
Maybe compared to Cate Blanchett, but doesn't mean that she.
Yes.
Yeah.
But from, you know, if you love improv, or, you know, she was this amazing. She's a hero of mine. She was in a comedy team called Mike Nichols and Elaine May. Mike Nichols went on to become the great director, and she wrote Birdcage, and they wrote, you know, she's just an amazing. Wow. And she's also a great performer, but she's, I believe, 87, and she doesn't perform very much. And so but Jim knew her. And so I didn't think we could get her because she's, you know, she hasn't been performing for a while. Yeah. But Jim said, well, maybe she'll get her. So I was just going to write it for her just in case. Right. And I wrote it with like, oh, maybe Elaine May will do this. And I even went to, she had a play on Broadway just recently, which was amazing. And but she didn't, she turned us down, which, you know, I can see it's you know,
yeah,
but you know, it's a lot. And then Cate Blanchett said yes, and it was like, I hadn't thought about her. I was kind of thinking of Elaine May, but then, so that's what the character was. I didn't know if Cate Blanchett walked in and goes, I think she might sound like this. And she just tried this voice. Because we were first thinking that she would use, somehow we'd heard she wanted to use her own accent, which is a slight Australian accent.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I guess this woman could be Australian. And then she walked in and she's like, oh, I don't think she's Australian. I think she'd be more, I think it's something like, and it was so cool to watch her take this character and just really all this confidence and just, I think it's this. And it's like, oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. That's really great. Like,
God, I'm so jealous.
It's completely not quite what I thought, but like much better, or and then yet also what I thought.
That's amazing.
We had to do this thing where people like, it's kind of like what's not quite like Snoopy, but when Santa's Little Helper sees people talking, they should sound like English, but he can't understand it, so it should be sort of gibberish. So with the cast, I actually wrote out lines that they're like saying, "What's he doing?" But like going, you know, and like with Cate Blanchett, I didn't have so much other lines, but I just said she looks at him and says, "Oh, you've got a story to tell," and then she goes on and just like talks to him, and so she was like not uncomfortable with that at all. She just like went, okay. And then she just did this, and she just almost sounded like she was speaking Elvish, you know, like from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's right. And, she was one of the,
yeah. But also she was telling him a story. Like I didn't know what she was saying, but like I was very captivated by it. And I thought that's such an interesting, you know, because even our actors were like, okay, this is a little weird. It took them a couple of moments to get sort of used to it. She was like, okay. And then she just did this weird thing and made it not seem weird.
Now, I mean, I know we've escaped talking about the coronavirus this whole time, which I just want to take a little time to say good job. We've done it. Like, that's very tough to do nowadays.
We hinted at it.
We hinted at it. Well, I did want to ask, though, because it's like a sort of an elephant in the room in my head, is like, you're going around, you're making this season, then the coronavirus hits a few months ago, right? How has anything changed? I mean, do the writers get together and go through a process where, because the Simpsons are so famous for being able to take what's going on in culture right now, and then echo or represent some, like say something about it, right? Make some commentary on it. Is this one of those times where you're like, we're going to be an escape instead of a mirror?
I mean, well, we are a little bit slow. It takes us a little bit of time to do things. So there's that, but also, I don't know. It's such a unfolding situation. We don't really. I feel like we don't really know what's going on with this. I mean, that's the biggest thing about this,
But was there discussion about it? Even was there like anybody saying, "Hey, how should we address this? No, don't address it." Was there any like?
I feel like right now, like we haven't like said, well, how are we going to address it? I mean, I think generally what happens is, people will start joking about something, or will have like just sort of naturally a funny take will come. But I don't know if there's going to be a funny take about this.
It's just a lot. There's a lot there.
It's not inspiring us to be funny right now.
No, I know what you're saying. No, I know what you mean. I saw a meme actually. Someone put on my Facebook where there's like a little kid throwing water balloons, and it says jokes written on the water balloon, and they're throwing it at this like huge fire.
Burning house.
A burning house. And in front of the house it says 2020. It's like I couldn't tell if the person sending it to me was like, Ryan, your jokes are doing nothing to help, or were she saying, oh, well, at least you're throwing some water on it, even though
it helps a little.
A little.
I mean, it has changed a lot. I mean, luckily we're sort of at this point in our season where we're not really coming up with new stories anyway. Like, we're sort of finishing out our season. This is our season finale anyway. So we have. I'm grateful to Jim Brooks for like seeing it right away. Going, okay, very early on, we were like, we're gonna do this through Zoom. So we've been doing our writers' room through Zoom, and we've sent our actors. They have like microphones and setups and like baffling and stuff. Like, they have to set up their own little.
So is Just as Professional as this then right here? Is it just?
It's pretty, yeah, not quite as good as that. That looks good. It looks like the chalkboard. Remember? I'm old enough that I remember when they went to that color instead of black. Like, it was like somehow it was better.
Yeah, no, I remember that too.
Like, I'm like, all right. So we're so lucky to be continuing to work.
Yeah.
It is intense, and everything takes long. Like with the actors, Right. Some people have source direct, so it goes directly, but most of the time they're literally recording it on GarageBand with our engineers, and then they're like, okay, all right, now hit stop, email it to us, and so they can hear it, and then they're like, okay, go back, now put your camera to let me turn that dial up, and then all right, like record it again, email it to us, and it's getting better, but that's an example of like, so it's fine because
it's a little easier than having a live show. At least a lot of it is digitally created, and you're doing
yes.
But still, it's a nuisance, and you got to do things differently, right? So I think it's maybe after we get through that aspect of like dealing with the coronavirus, then maybe because now we are moving in towards where we're just going to be. We have a lot of episodes already for. When we start thinking about what's going to be the new episodes, maybe a coronavirus thing might be in there, but I don't know at this point. I feel like for myself, it's not clicking where it's like, well, it'd be really funny, but who knows? Like, who knows? Something could occur to you. Every day for over at iHeartRadio, we have like daily, like the boss is telling us like, keep it light. Don't go too much into it. You're not the freaking news. I don't want to hear like death count. Yeah. So it's like, every day or two, we're thinking about like, I'm a human being and I'm thinking about this actual tragedy that's facing us, right?
Yeah.
I'm also an essential worker.
Yeah. You got to keep us happy.
Right. So like, I'm like doing interviews with the lieutenant governor. We're talking and everything is like, so one half of me is I'm trying to keep it light and I'm getting paid to like to kind of do jokes that are not necessarily about the coronavirus, but it's hard to avoid it too.
No, right? Yeah, like if you don't say anything,
right, that's a little weird. That's
right?
weird.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, someone else is new.
So traffic's been light. That's weird. How come? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a weird tightrope. Speaking of like Walk the Line in Zemeckis movie, I feel like that's a little bit where I'm at. And you know, I don't always stay on the line. Sometimes I'll get a comment of like, Ryan, not now. Jeez. I'm like, I was just trying. And then other times it's like, you know, all you're doing is, telling me the truth about stuff. Where's the jokes? So it's like, I can joke too much. I'm not joking enough. It's a very difficult time. So, it's part of, and sometimes you get it just right. And they're like, gosh, thanks, Ryan. In this difficult time, you have the balls to say something about it, but yet you kept a light side to it. But it's like a tightrope.
And then there's also like, did you see Gal Gadot and their Imagine? And I thought, okay, I have to admit, I was also like, oh, fuck you. Sorry. Sorry.
That's exactly.
But
that's
whatever. But then I started looking at everybody's comments, and then I started feeling bad for them. Because then you watch it, they're just trying to like, here, guys, this will probably make you feel good if you think, imagine this. No, and it's like they're so sincere, and it's like, we ain't you.
No, honestly, if the dictionary changed, like if you look up the word cringy, it should just be that video. It should just be that video in the digital version of the dictionary.
Right.
But I felt exactly like you. At first, it was like, shut the fuck up. And then it was like, you saw all the comments. I'm like, well, I don't think they meant to.
Yeah, they were just
you don't have to crucify Wonder Woman for that. It was just, it was
and because then somebody else would do something, and everybody's like, okay, that's how you do it. Like, I don't know, like, everybody loved the Rolling Stones. You see Charlie Watts is like playing like he doesn't have drums and he's just like playing his armchair. It's the weirdest thing. He just makes this decision to. Anyway. But everybody's like, yes, Charlie Watts. There you go. So it kind of reminds me. Like, how do you get that?
Yeah, it was like,
the right tone.
I don't even remember Clint Eastwood. He was talking to an invisible chair once in a
right.
he was just trying to do a bit, and they were like, "Is he okay? Like, does he really think someone's there?"
He knows there's nothing there, right?
No, so I can relate. I totally get what you mean. I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not like there's so much darkness to the reality that part of me wants to make light of it to help. But, sometimes, it's too dark, or I don't know, it's just not really helping. Right? It's like the spraying potpourri renews it on a really bad dump. It's like you're just making it shitty plus flowers. It doesn't. Now it's worse. It's a little worse.
Yeah. No, it's very strange. And I mean, I feel like at the beginning of this quarantine, I was so scared. I was like checking my thermometer. I have fever every day. I'm like, what was that cough? And then I kind of went through like, I'm sort of invincible. I feel like, I actually really like hanging out at home. So
no, me too. Us too. We secretly are thriving. We kind of love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I'm wearing this apron. Like when I went to Japan, I saw all these ladies would wear these aprons, and I was like, I love that idea. And whenever before the quarantine, I would put it on and I feel like, okay, I'm home for a while. I'm going to clean up and then I can just take off my day. But now I'm like, I'm always in my apron. I love apron time, and it's always apron time.
It's like,
and then I feel guilty for loving apron time because I know, I know that this isn't this. It's not supposed to be fun and games and apron time.
I know. No, I know. That's like a lot of this is like, look, we're trying to help entertain our fellow humans, but you don't want to look like you're having too good of a time. It's a very strange, juggling act. Like, what do you want me to do? Act depressed? I mean, we're all trying to figure out what's the right mode to be in.
It's like one part, like you want to, be positive about this and make the best out of a bad situation,
right?
And also try to get as much as you can out of it, because when do we ever get to just stay home? Like no one.
It's true.
But at the same time, you realize that there are a lot of people who are not in this situation that can afford to stay home, or that can even have like a big enough home where they're all piled on top of each other inside this little pocket. You just want to kill each other, so I mean, I get it. it's too bad, but I just hope that, you know, this thing ends soon. So.
Yeah. I mean, as a mom, is it from that angle, has that been like, because I know you have your son is, was he still, he's in high school or?
He's 16. Yeah. So, I mean, he's, you know, again, I feel very lucky. Like he's kind of at the good age, just for this, like, I think like high school kids, as far as doing remote school, it's a little bit easier. Like, I think like if he was in elementary school, you really want the teacher there, you know, but high school stuff, it's a little bit more, like he has a little more homework and he has to be a little bit more of a self-starter. Right. But, you know, even he has been hanging out with his friends online through games and stuff before this, you know. And again, like I know that when he was little, you want to get those little ones together. I really feel for mothers of like little ones, because you know, one, they have so much energy, you know.
It's funny to have an 11-year-old, and she's doing better than my 19-year-old. When they said that they extended the stay-at-home order, I think my 19-year-old was going to pass out. She was like, "Oh my God!" You know,
she's in the mode of like going.
I need to see my friends.
Right? Yeah. And then the 11-year-old's like,
It's like, I like online school.
Disney Plus, here we go. She's just like,
yeah. So my niece is who lives with me. She's 22, and she is, you know, stir crazy. Like she wants to do stuff. Yeah.
But in Cali, you got a lot of stuff going on. I know we just saw in the like Tesla's like, I'm moving out of LA. You guys are like crazy trying to keep us in. Do you find this like extra strict in Cali? Like, is Tesla just being a drama queen? Because I know he's, you're infringing on my rights and all that stuff. So maybe he's just being a drama queen. But I mean, is the climate been pretty fair? Is it pretty decent? It's not like they're over.
I haven't tried to like push up against it. My niece works in an animal emergency room, so that makes her an essential worker. So I know she does have to have like a little paper so that when she drives, apparently, you know, like if somebody stops and says, "Hey, where are you going?" she can show. But I mean, I've heard of people going to the beach to see, because we have like the luminescent waves right now, which I haven't seen yet, but like we have like this weird red tide, and so at night the waves are glowing where they crash. It's pretty cool. You see some YouTube video. It is pretty cool. And I know people have done that, and it seems it's, you know, I feel like for the most part, most people are not. It might be a lot of social pressure too, because I feel like for the most part, people are saying, and there's always, even my little neighborhood app, there's one or two who are like, well, our rights, we need to be out. And, you know, that's the thing is like Patton Oswalt said, you know, Anne Frank stayed in an attic for 2 years, you know, with no internet. This is a big thing that's happening. We have no idea what this thing does. I mean, the people, we know that, you know, a small percentage dies, but then the 20% who get sick, you know, some of them get very, very sick. And I have a few people that I know, and I've been following their social media. Right. You know, they're kind of staying sick, and this thing, even like 40 days later, and it doesn't go up and stop. It's like you feel better, and then all of a sudden you get this weird thing, and these weird symptoms, like you feel like your bones are broken, or you can't, you have no taste and no smell, and you know, we don't know like how much of that is going to go away. Like at this point we're like, oh, it's probably going to go away, we hope, or, you know. I know. And now there's this thing that's happening to the little kids, and I just feel like let's we don't know this thing. Totally. And I just feel like let's talk about dogs. Yeah, let's talk about dogs.
I'm with you, man. Let's escape, man. Let's go to the dogs. They know best. You know what I mean?
I know it's economically it's hurting, but
definitely
we do bounce back, and I hopefully it will. It's, you know, it's funny because I've been watching this thing called Doomsday Preppers. it's weirdly, I love that shit. It's an old, it's kind of like, they're kind of old, but like some of them you're like, even now you're kind of like, okay, that guy's a little crazy, but a lot of them you're like, whoa, because some of them, like this one guy had a big tilapia tank, and then on top of it is like a hydroponic garden that has like potatoes and onions, and like they feed each other, and it's not that big, and I'm like, All right, I gotta get into this.
Girl, you're the TV brain in this. Like, I got to tell you, like, I've just thought of this idea. Marie Kondo goes to Doomsday Preppers.
Or to like the hoarders. Yeah.
Hoarders. And she just goes to the hoarders and there's like this war.
There is something magical about her.
She's amazing.
But
I love it.
the thing I was going to say about the Doomsday Preppers, like a lot of them in the later seasons, they all kind of go like, when the food runs out, there's going to be hordes of people and they're all going to come to your house and you've got to have guns and you know, I think about this and I think about 9/11, and I think I used to think that too, that like if the shit hits the fan, people are going to be all for myself. But really when you see it, it actually, people are looking to help each other. And it's not, I think you kind of, it does reveal this part of humanity that you go, there's some jerks, but for the most part, people are trying to help each other. And
that is true. And it depends where you are. Like, I definitely think in Hawaii, it is like that. It's mostly help. It's mostly kokua. You know, it's mostly that. And then some kind of crazies, you know.
Well, we definitely,
like everywhere else. You know?
We watched like one episode of the Doomsday thing. We're like, we're getting a garden. Like we've started a garden. We started a garden.
Yeah.
And today we learned how to like butcher a chicken.
We're already starting like what do they used to do way back in the day? It's like 2020s, like looking up stuff they did in 1820. Like it's just like we're trying to go back from before the Industrial Revolution. How did you all like fare before that?
I have to admit, like I'm a little spoiled, you know. You don't think about. I'm like, you want me to pluck a chicken, like, you know, that's no, but you know, you never know. It's just good to know how to do things, even sewing, right? Like I was like, I'm gonna make masks and pass them out, right?
Yay!
Stupid sewing machine.
I know. We're trying to, you know, pick up all these, like, you know, just Boy Scout, Girl Scout skills that, you know, like as if we're going to be in a forest anytime soon, like Survivor or something. But I mean, the world is crazy. We're trying to survive, trying to adapt, you know?
And not only it's like, for me, it's like, in case something bad happens, we're prepared, sure. But also, like, do we really need all the things we think we need?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Can we just be self-sustaining and, you know, just take very little, and maybe if we have extra, give back to other people. Like, that is like the spirit of what we're trying to learn. And,
I mean, I don't know, Carolyn, if you know this. I don't know when the last time you've been to Hawaii, but you know, of course, they lock up the spam now, right? You know that, right?
No, really? You have to get, like,
if you want to go to
like the Dom Perignon.
Right. There's Dom Perignon. There's like AAA batteries, Sudafed, and now spam. It's like you have to ask the lady, and she goes back with the key or the man or whatever.
Which one you want, teriyaki?
And then he opens it up and they hand you the spam and the Jack Daniels or whatever's in that locked up part in the back.
Yeah. It's starting to like open up a little bit, but I really kind of liked it early on, where I was like, because I started making bread, which I actually love bread, but I never made it myself, and so I needed yeast, and like I got some yeast, and I'm like, it just kind of reminded me of like a war ration of like, okay, I've got some yeast, and maybe I'll make some donuts, and I'll make a loaf of bread, and here's some apples, and I'll make a cider. And, you know,
started composting.
Why don't I dress like the Handmaid's Tale while I'm at it? Let's just like Anna Miller's bonnet. Why not? Let's just go back.
The Anna Millers. I used to live near Anna Millers.
No way.
How long have you gone?
Yeah. When was the last time?
Oh, well, I was there we were there not too long ago. We were there last summer.
But living here. Yeah. When did you move from here?
I moved in 81. Yeah, 81.
Wow.
Yeah. I was not quite 21.
Well, I just literally I saw her name in the paper back when the Sam and Ryan show was all the way. This was like our first show. So me and Sam did a show. What was that? God, it must have been like our first show was like 1999. And I don't know when I talked to you, but it was after probably like early 2000s maybe.
It was early, because there was my first episode, there was, I want to say Star Bulletin. Was it still Star Bulletin? What? Your
first episode was 2000. I saw in Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah. It was
Little Big Mom.
Little Big Mom, yes. And because they go to Hawaii. They go to Molokai.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh my God. So
Yes.
how
yes.
excited were you to get your first episode done? Like how long were you writing and then you finally got
I was there like a year.
Okay.
Almost 2 years, actually. I mean, it was a year before I got my first script.
Wow.
And then it takes like 9 months before it goes on the air.
Wow.
But I mean, I got jokes in the show, but yeah, this was the first one with my name on it.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That's stupid, sexy Flanders.
So that's what I saw.
You interviewed her.
Yeah, because I saw it in the newspaper here in Hawaii. So I just called, I emailed you. I don't know what I did, but I got in touch with you. I'm like, I was like, and you were so excited because literally she was it was like University of Hawaii degree, and then you were sitting in a room of Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Harvard,
yes.
and Conan, right? Was O'Brien was one of the writers back then.
But way before me. By the time I was there, he was already he had already had his show.
Oh, he already had your show when you came in.
He left the show.
In. Yeah. Oh, I see. So you never really got to work with him in the writing room, really?
No. He was only there because he came in like season 4. I'm not sure. He came in for it, and he was there for a short while before he like went on to become the host of the Conan show.
So how long do you think it's gonna go, Simpsons? I
don't know. I mean, I was worried with the Disney thing. I don't know. You know, anytime there's a change, anytime there's like you can kind of go, oh, that's a marker. That's where we'll end it. I don't know. It's right now. We are so lucky because this thing right now where we can continue working because we're animated. Yeah. So I think that's going to give us a little bit more time.
Any thoughts of like another movie? Because the movie is wonderful.
Yeah, they're thinking about another movie. Yeah, it was hard to do together for our actors and our animators, but I think we'll do it again.
Is there ever a version where like the Simpsons like grow up to the point where like they're doing the whole Toy Story thing where Bart goes to college and the whole?
You kind of
does it
in the future, right? Like I've seen episodes where Lisa's a grown, like an adult, or
Does
it ever like permanently go there, or what do you?
I don't think so. I mean, we've done a few like future things, but I don't know if it's gonna go like all of a sudden like, oh wow, we're moving forward in time, but no.
Okay, nice. That's nice. That's part of the magic. They just kind of like yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? There's every once in a while we do things that sort of change, and we'll see. But
I remember when I saw Greta Thunberg. She reminded me like if Lisa was a human person, she has Greta qualities. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Just ahead of her, just a little bit ahead of her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she is. It's really funny. I used to think about that Pam from The Office, and I tell Yardley this. I always think Pam reminds me of like what Lisa, like if Lisa grew her hair out and grew up, like I think she would sort of talk like Pam from The Office, but she probably would be like some kind of professor or something.
Yeah.
Or president, maybe.
Yes.
Do you know what time it is? California time?
It's at 8:00. Yeah, it's at 8:00, so it'll be 8:00 your time too on Fox.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice.
And which is that's another amazing thing is like all of the streaming, all of the got all these other options. Yet Simpsons has been able to like just still steady push on. I mean, we didn't have cable for a long time because we just don't watch TV anymore. With all the Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
So that shows like that's pretty.
It would be kind of cool to see like the Simpsons trying to attempt a Zoom.
Yeah.
Homer's mic is muted and like they're trying to do a yoga class.
Sure we'll do something. I think Homer's going to do. I think he's going to do a graduation speech, but I'm not sure what the details are on that.
Oh, nice. Oh, like an actual like the one like Obama did, right? Where you do like a speech and nice. Yeah. Because we actually at iHeart Radio we just announced that you can go to the app or 939beat.com. You click on the commencement speeches. You got like different artists like Khalid or whatever, and they'll give little motivation speech.
Yeah, I do feel really bad for our seniors this year, and it is a bummer. I mean, But you know, I'm hoping that there's all kinds of silver linings, you know, like that like there'll be often in these times, you know, they'll be like, but you know what, it turned out to be the best thing because and whatever, like we don't know what it's going to be, but for some reason it's going to be a great thing, and I hope that happens for all those guys.
And hopefully like they learn some we really do. Like I know over at our house we're like taking like stock lessons and jiu-jitsu lessons on Zoom, and we're just trying to you know, we're just trying to make the most of it. So hopefully some of that's going on. But
I'm grateful for the time to spend with my son, and I mean we're just hanging out, and like it's just really nice to just sort of play games and, you know, watch stuff and laugh, and you know, it's for the most part, it's just, you know, it's just fun to hang out.
Have you resorted to doing a TikTok dance with him yet, Carolyn?
He is refusing, but I'm going to get him to. No. He knows what's good. No, it would be great to do our TikToks.
Now, does he ever talk about or think about like following in your footsteps, becoming a writer, or what is he like?
You know, he says he doesn't want to write, but he's actually a really good writer. He, of
course he is.
He writes from very young. He writes very good poetry. Like he doesn't even realize he's a poet and doesn't know it. But I just realized that's what I was going for. But no, he has a good way with words, and he does sort of see things as a writer, but he's sort of fighting that. But he's very funny.
I did the same thing. My dad was a math major, and you know, I come from the stereotypical Asian family of like Microsoft Excel thinking, like left brain accountants, and you know what I mean. I come from that, so I totally rebelled at that at first, but later on, I like secretly like read math books, and I
really,
I love it. I love it secretly, but growing up, I'm like, I don't want to care about that. But he taught me a lot growing up, so I kind of, even though I didn't listen to it, and deep in my mind, if my dad does it, I want to do it. You know, it's like there's a little bit of that. So I bet he's feeling a little like, I don't want to. Like, what if I follow? I'm not as good. I don't know what I thought, but. Maybe there's a little bit of rebellion, but you're kind of secretly like, I want to do it and impress mom or dad, you know, later on. You know? So I still do have that deep love for it, but it's, you know, I don't know. I grew up rebelling against it at first, you know.
Yeah. Whenever I've said like, so have you ever thought about what I don't want to be a writer? Like, okay, there's other things you could be.
Well, it's like you have 4 Emmys. It's like, it's a little intimidating.
But, you know, so there's other things. But he's, you know, he's funny. He's like, he likes music. I mean, there's different, he's, you know, he's still figuring out what he likes.
Yeah, totally. It's way early. You know, you never know. He might blow up and become like this video game, you know, YouTuber.
Right. Right. When you see all those like esports guys, I just think, man, I would be going, you're gonna be nothing. I'm like, oh, what? You make $1 million?
I know, totally. Yeah.
It reminds me of this story. I once went to this birthday party. It was sort of a fancy birthday party, and it was like it was an Easter egg hunt, and my son was like 5, and all the kids, and then at one point they said there's one golden egg out there with $100 bill in it, which I think is a little bit much, but so the kids are kind of going nuts, like, you know, like, oh,
that's a lot for a kid. Yeah.
And then like at one point Kai goes over to this wall, and it's like there's like a lattice, and he starts to slide in a little bit, and I'm thinking, oh, you might break that. And I luckily I didn't tell him to stop, but I was like, whoa. And then he on his own kind of went, okay, this is kind of breaking. So he came out, and then this girl goes in right away and gets the $100. Like, she's like, oh, and he starts to cry. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't tell him not to go. Because I was just about to say, don't go in there. It would have
been your fault.
And then it would have been my fault. So instead I was like, you see, you should have gone in there. That's the lesson.
That's hilarious.
Why didn't you go?
Now, like, I'm just guessing because you got Omine last name, but you get, are you Hapa? Like, what is the ethnicity?
I'm Hapa, yeah. But my last name was actually Pratt.
I see. Okay.
And then my mother is Japanese.
So what's the official mix then? The official mix, you get like how much? What
Official mix is like I'm half Japanese, and then I'm I did the 23andMe, so I'm like Europe, like English and Irish and stuff like that. Yeah, mostly. But and then my mother remarried, and my dad adopted me, and he's Japanese.
Nice.
My last name is Japanese.
So when you grew up, though, was there like, I mean, you wanting to be a writer, which is like, you know, creative is like, I know for me growing up Asian, like anything creative I wanted to do, my dad was like, okay, that's nice, but be a newscaster. Okay, you want to be on TV, do the, you know, you want to do that, you know, be a journalist, you know, you want to be a writer? Okay, go write for the news. You know, it had to be an official. It couldn't be like some, like, oh, I'm going to go write for Hollywood. Like, whatever, Asian, sit down. Like, I mean, did you have some of that pressure? Like, is that going to pay the bills? Or was she pretty supportive?
My mother was not very supportive, but she was just sort of crazy and different.
We all have Asian moms. Tina has Asian mom too. So
we're all half Japanese.
We all have the half Japanese thing going.
Yeah. My mom was a little intense, but you know, my teacher, I hope her name was Mamo Carrera. She was my second and third grade teacher, because they were doing this little experimental thing where they had like 4 teachers on 2 classes. So I got to stay with her second and third grade. And I remember my first day, she came up to me and she said, I hear somebody likes to read. And I don't even know if I did. I was like, yeah, I was so happy that she was, that was my thing. Okay, I'm the person that likes to read. I so wanted to be that, because she was beautiful and I loved her, and she was so great. And I do remember she started letting me stay after school, and I would help her make the bulletin board, and like I remember putting stamps on books that were new. And then one day I remember her giving me this book that was like, it had no words, and she said, I just want to try and come up with words to this book. And I just remember thinking like, okay, she thinks I can do this, so I want to do this. And I just really have that really strong memory of like, this worked. My house was a little weird, but it worked. That's with awesome. This teacher. Like if I was good, things worked out. And what?
That was in Pearl City?
It was in Eva Beach, but I do know, I think I saw at some point, I think I looked up her name, Mamo Carrera, and she was like I think she was a teacher in Waipahu, or like a principal in Waipahu, and she might have even gotten, I don't know. I hope she's alive, and I wish I could meet her again and tell her I think she made all the difference for me.
Oh my God,
and I'm so glad that I was so glad that I had her for 2 years. I think that I
love that. It's like she's doing her own thing in her own life, and she has no idea that you are remembering her name and remembering that the grade you were in and the impact that she made in your life.
Meanwhile, Governor Ige wants to cut the teacher salary 20%. What's going on? Oh way. Oh way. Yeah, that's
give Mama a raise.
Great. Yeah, that's so amazing. Say this just one more time, because you mentioned a little bit about it when I talked to you this morning on the morning show on the radio. But there's a little like sort of tip of the hat to Hawaii. How?
Oh, when Lisa kicks off her slippers because she challenges the lady to a fight. She's very upset. She's pushed to a emotional breaking point. But it is this like that kick come on that kind of like.
That'd be so great if she like one by one took off the Hawaiian bracelets. Like, I take off. But
I remember the guys, just because it was like just the slippers, because it's hard to like, because also my high school was kind of hilly. So if you were fighting, you're in slippers. You know how like the slippers go around your foot?
Like, yeah, totally. You gotta do footwork.
Yeah, you needed the gripping.
Yeah, you don't like trip over your own slippers and then like cause your own.
Yeah.
That's huge. Well, Carolyn, I'm so glad we got to do this deep dive with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I want to hang out more.
We could keep going all night. So
I don't want to.
I was like put makeup on. I kind of went to town with the eyeliner, but I was just like, oh my God, combing my hair today. Like it's such a nice thing to do.
I'm so good. You know what? We're gonna watch this episode on Sunday, and we're gonna get into it, and we're probably gonna bug you later too, because it's
Okay, I'm going to I will live tweet. Thank you.
So much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I forgot
Yes.
to
Oh, and now
I forgot
it's
to turn everything on. Sorry.
hi,
I'm new at
everybody.
this.
No, that was we're just getting used to this software, but thank you for like the the people who stayed on and watched. That was fun. We're gonna try again on the Sam and Ryan page, Sam and Man and Hawaiian Ryan Facebook page. We're gonna try again over on the other side, but we're learning software, man. And it was thank you to Carolyn first and foremost.
She's
thank you.
so amazing.
She just really is an amazing human, and I'm just loving having like conversations with
like
these
come over for coffee. I know I always invite everybody over to our house, but
great
I
humans.
hope they do.
Yeah, once we can be sure that we won't kill each other.
I know. When everything opens up, come over for coffee.
Yes. Okay, so where's this ending button?
The
Okay.
ending button.
You guys have been.
Woo!
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We
So
love
check
you
it out.
so much.
Rated HR Show on YouTube and HawaiianRyan.com.
Hawaiian
Watch the
Ryan.
other videos.
I can't wait to spread up my germs all over you, family. Okay,
Bye,
bye.
guys.
Bye bye.